and welcome to the next principle of this free course. On the last principle, we talked about the great importance of listening. I told you why listening is responsible for a lot of our language production skills and why it's the base of my methodology. Now, in today's principle, I want to share with you another little secret to boost your English. A lot of my students come up to me and ask what they can do to improve their English and finally speak. They say, I understand, but I can't speak. They tell me that they listen to things in English very frequently, some of them even every day, and yet they can't speak. My answer to them is just one word: repetition. That's it. But repeating? Seriously? Absolutely. And let me tell you why. How many times do we listen in our native language to the same things during just one day, a week, a year? How many times have we heard the same things over and over in our entire life? Thousands. But strangely enough, when we take English classes, you only listen once. Each day, if we are lucky, we listen to a short conversation, different every time. Sure, we can understand the message, but in the future we cannot use the language we've heard. Why? Because our brain didn't have enough time to digest the language. It only hears it and then it forgets it. The reason why we speak our native language today so well is because we have been exposed to an awful lot of the same words, the same structures, many times in our life. So, when we are in a situation where we have to speak, our brain goes to the database of the language we have, retrieves it, and uses it automatically. When you listen to the same thing time and time again, you generate multiple expositions to the same things in a short period of time. Remember how we talk about how we acquire our first language? We listen to the same things for years. By listening to the same thing in English a lot of times, we are replicating the same phenomenon, only faster. Also, when we listen to something and we listen to it again and again, we are giving our brain the opportunity to memorize unconsciously and naturally a lot of structures and sound patterns. We don't need to study lists of vocabulary, because when we do that, we only learn words. But when we listen repeatedly, we can see those words in a sentence, so that makes more sense. We need to listen many times. This is natural learning. How does it work? Well, let me show you. When we listen to something for the first time, we don't understand it completely. And depending on our level, maybe we only understand a few things. That's the first layer, the recognition. Then we listen to the same thing again. What we listen now is a second layer, which is a repetition of the same things we understood before, plus new words, new things that we didn't catch the first time. After a third layer, we may get a general idea of the message, and we continue listening, more layers. The new layers are on top of the previous ones and make the whole message more understandable. Let me give you an analogy. It's the middle of the night. You're in your bedroom and everything is dark. You were sleeping. Now you wake up and open your eyes. What do you see? Nothing. But you continue with your eyes open. You squint a little. You start remembering where your furniture is. You remember the things in your bedroom and continue with your eyes open. And little by little, the images become clearer. Now you can see more things. And the same goes for repetition. Listening repeatedly makes it easier for you to understand the message. Our ears, little by little, get accustomed to the sound of a new language, in the same way that our eyes adapt to darkness. In my example, I am saying a few layers, that is, a few repetitions, but there isn't an exact number of repetitions. You need to repeat a lot, 10, 15, 20 times, the more the better. Listen until you can't listen anymore. Look, I get it, we're humans. We need change every so often, but don't change so quickly. Listen a lot and repeat a lot. Because even if you understand almost everything the first time, that doesn't mean you will be able to use that language in a real situation. And even if you understand everything the first time, listening to it a lot more will help your brain retain that language and make it part of your language database. I once had a student who didn't like the idea of repetition. He said he listened to the radio a few days a week and he could understand everything. Still, he couldn't speak fluently. He was continually falling short of words. The reason for that is clear now, isn't it? Listening every day, but not to the same thing, works, but it's much slower. If you don't want to repeat, if you think that it's just so boring and tedious to listen to the same thing more than once, that's okay. You don't have to. If you continue listening to things in English every day, you are going to make progress, but it's going to take longer. If you want to see changes fast, if you want to check the efficiency of repetition for yourself, just give it a try. You don't have anything to lose. That'll be it for this principle number 3, repetition. Conclusion. Listening is incredibly important, but it works much better with repetition. They are like best friends. A lot of repetition, a lot of repetition, a lot of repetition. See what I did there? Thank you for listening. I really hope you find this information useful and that you want to join me for the next principle. See you then.